Happy New Year. Wow, it seems like it's been a while. Hope everybody's well. Hope everybody had a lovely break. It's been a minute, but I have just took some time off over the holidays to chill, spend with family, and yeah, it's been nice. Officially started my job. So December I started, but I was in the thick of training. But I officially started the role on the second in terms of doing the actual job itself. I have gone into the wellness space and I'm a wellness coach. And so I am facilitating group sessions and I'm talking for like 2 hours at a time. And what really touched me about it all is that, as I've mentioned before in my previous videos, God was the one that really ordained this role. Where I'm talking for like 2 hours at a time and I'm speaking in front of a group, and that can be anything from, say, 5 people to 20 at a time. It helps me in terms of, I guess, the YouTube. I'm not, whilst I'm a confident person, I'm not the most articulate. Sometimes I struggle to get my thoughts together and, string a sentence together sometimes. And so I'm guessing he wanted me in that space, not just to minister, but also to help with me and obviously expanding my vocabulary and finding my words. And it may help, it may not, but I can definitely see what was behind it, and that speaks to who God is. He doesn't show us the whole picture at the time, but if we go with, you often find out that it was always in your best interest. I mean, you always find out it was in your best interest. And also, although it is facilitating a group and it is talking about the health and wellness space, I believe 75 to 80% of the role is ministering. It's how you deliver that content. It's how you speak to the groups, which will make the difference as to whether the information resonates, whether it lands, and whether they're able to make the necessary changes. And I'm thankful that he helped me and encouraged me in terms of making that shift, because I can, already I can see the fruit. By putting God at the forefront of my life, I'm able to just let the Holy Spirit speak. And in doing so, more often than not, I'm able to self serve a little bit more. But by self serving, it always then puts me in position of being in service to Him and serving others, but in the right way. I think with the whole church and religiosity, we can often get manipulated into being slaves for the system, i.e., you might be a church worker, and listen, there's nothing wrong with these things, I'm using it as an example. A church worker where you're pouring in a church and there's things that are speaking to you on the inside, but you're not laying time to that because you feel like, based on keeping up appearances, you have to show up because the church has asked you to do that role. And we feel like we have to serve. Yes, we do, but you need to be in service to God, not necessarily just other people. And listen, serving in church is great. I'm not against it. But what I'm saying is we mustn't get entrapped into doing things that aren't necessarily our calling. Putting God first, we are able to then hear from the Holy Spirit and allow Him to speak into us ways in which we can really be in service to God, and ways in which it speaks to us that we just feel that peace in our hearts. We feel, you know, that missing void, that void that we sometimes carry when we're not walking in purpose. It starts to filter off slowly but surely, and it's not all the way gone, I'm not going to say that, but it's definitely shifting now that I've made the necessary steps into walking in full alignment with God's will. And so, and I'll still get it wrong. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that, like I said, that I've got it in the bag, but I can see where just shutting the outside noise that bit more is definitely showing the fruit. I mean, obviously, I've been working towards these things for months now, so it's not like I woke up on Jan 1st and I was like, right, new year, new me. That wasn't the case. However, I did feel a little bit overwhelmed about the pressure of now having to execute the goals even though I'd been working towards them. It was a little bit heavy, and I prayed on it because I did go to the gym on that morning. I went very early, but apart from that, I didn't do much else. And many people wouldn't have. It was, it was a bank holiday, so. But I had to pray on it because I did feel a little bit overwhelmed and a little bit heavy. But speaking to God, He just that shifted pretty swiftly. But I just want to encourage you: choose you, because it's important, and not everybody's gonna like it. Like, there were things that, so I think I mentioned that I was due to meet up with like 4 sets of meetups, I believe. And in the end, it was only two. The two that were between Christmas and New Year's, I actually cancelled. They weren't really aligning organically, and so I decided not to force it. And I felt the Holy Spirit speaking. In doing so, I ended up having an impromptu with one of my destiny helpers after New Year's, a couple of days in, and that was so nice, so needed. Someone who just understands it from the, spirits know spirits, but someone that carries that similar spirit, that same light, that gets what you're saying in terms of where you're at, and you're not having to over explain yourself as to why you're no longer participating in certain things, and why you don't want to be in certain environments. You don't have to over explain it at all, and it's just so nice. And I just believe when you're obedient to God, He sets you up nicely on the other side. Always, always, always. I can attest to it. I've seen it. I see it all the time. But sometimes we just feel obliged to show up. We feel obliged to show up for people, and that's what I'm trying to encourage you to no longer do. The time it takes to show up for others, it takes away from the way in which we can show up for ourselves. Whether we want to admit it or not, that's the truth. It really does. And a day away, um, you know, it could just be going out for a day out. And yeah, it is nice to do that. But if you could be pouring into your purpose during that time, I encourage you to do that. No, it's not going to, you're not going to have the fruit the next day. It's not, that one day of pouring into your purpose is not going to give you the fruit the next day, but it will bring you steps nearer. Me having to sacrifice some social time, say no a little bit, decide that I'm not going to show up a little bit, has done wonders in terms of me making huge life changes. And all of them have been laden in the Holy Spirit. They've been Holy Spirit guided, all of them. And He's been able to comfort me and reassure me in those times where I wasn't too sure about it. And that's why I'm saying it's so important. Not everyone's going to appreciate it, not everyone's going to like it. But as I've mentioned before, there are people who are dependent on you putting yourself last. That's the you that they can work with. So the you that puts yourself first, it's just not going to sit well. But you have nobody to answer to but God. And if God's giving you those gentle nods, then you know you're going in the right direction. It's the only way you're going to reach those goals. It's the only way you're going to have the consistency that you need in order to reach those goals. Do not be afraid to choose you. Run it by God. Make sure you're putting God first. Make sure you're inviting Him into all your decisions. I have been spending a lot of quiet time with God, which has meant that I've not necessarily wanted to be in certain spaces. And no, it's not me looking down on anyone or thinking I'm better than anyone. It's got nothing to do with that. It's literally being able to self-serve a little bit so that I can work in order to get, so I can work towards a direction of serving God, which will essentially help me serve others and minister to others. But yes, I hope everybody's well, and we hopefully will catch up soon with a proper video with, a bit more direction and stuff. But until then, look after yourselves, and we'll speak soon. Bye.